How's it going, guys? I realized I need to read more, so I made the book vlog, the show where I read books and then review them. Today, I'll be reviewing Mrs. Poe by Lynn Cullen. This book came out September of last year, and though it could be considered romance, I consider it more historical fiction. It's about 300 pages long, and it's actually a pretty quick read. This is one of those books that you just want to punch in the face. It's 1845, and we're introduced to our main protagonist, Frances Osgood. She's an aspiring poet and writer in New England. This is around the time where Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven is all the rage. Frances eventually gets to meet Edgar Allan Poe, and what ensues is perhaps the most scandalous love affair in all of history. All at the same time, Frances has to make friends with his very sick, much younger, and dying wife, Virginia Poe. This is a book that I really want to punch in the face because I love Edgar Allan Poe. I've loved him ever since I was 6 years old and I was introduced to his work, The Black Cat. This is one of those books I hate so much because I love it so much. And I really wish that I had written it. This is genius, because the affair between Poe and Osgood was actually real. It's pretty well known by a lot of Poe historians that this did happen. A lot of the conflict you'd think would come from Edgar's wife, Virginia, but surprisingly what I took out of this book was really two people against society. In 1845, divorce was unheard of. And here are two people in marriage, locked in marriage, but at the same time out of marriage. When they fall in love, there's not really much that they can do. It's them against their society. And it was a really fascinating look at everything. The setting was done perfectly. The way people dressed, the way people spoke, even the way they carried themselves really went along with the time that they lived in. If I have any criticisms of this book, it would be that towards the end, when more creative liberty was taken for the narrative to have a big climactic ending, it didn't seem too believable. However, the actual scenes where Frances and Edgar developed their relationship was done amazingly. I really felt that I was there, and I think I might have fallen in love with Edgar Allan Poe just a little bit too. Though the settings were all laid out beautifully, sometimes I actually felt that the minor details of a basic setting were left out, making the book feel a little bit opaque. To me, the beauty of a book is the fact that no two people read it the exact same way. Let's say a character is described as tall and blonde, or whichever way, it doesn't matter. My version of that character will always be different from yours. For instance, my Katniss Everdeen in my head probably looks a lot more different than yours does. That is, unless we're both thinking of Jennifer Lawrence, when in that case, it's perfect. That's just a tiny little thing, and I can totally forgive it because I loved this book. And sorry, it's the furnace. The reason why I picked Mrs. Poe for the first book vlog video is because I love it so much. I've been rereading it over and over for the past few weeks, and I really feel like it's one of those books that I want to be able to emulate and eventually write a book similar. Not the same book, just write a book that I like. And I hope you'll like it too. I hope you pick it up and be glad that you did. This was my review of Mrs. Poe by Lynn Cullen. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, stay golden.